Demon Slayer and Jujutsu Kaisen have changed the anime film industry forever. Demon Slayer Mugen Train is now the largest grossing anime movie of all time with a whopping 503 million box office revenue. Jujutsu Kaisen 0 is creeping up to the top 10 with a current revenue of 148 million. Not too far behind them is Dragon Ball Super Broly, which brings us to our topic today. Canonical films, to put it lightly, are doing pretty great. I'm here with my co-host, Edgar.
Oh, I noticed this especially after watching Jujutsu Kaisen number 0. There just seems to be people more leaning towards canon films rather than, how should I say this, filler films.
Yeah.
Essentially is what they are. Especially my first few were like My Hero Academia films. As great as they were, it was always kind of a downside to know that they weren't going to be exactly tied in with the story.
Yeah, and that goes hand in hand with a lot of anime movies. They take place over a weekend or on a side adventure, and then towards the end, everything kind of wraps up in a way so that the manga doesn't get,
in a way
destroyed.
That it doesn't exist, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. And One Piece and Dragon Ball are probably the biggest culprits of starting this form of movies,
Naruto has like a lot of films too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they have like over probably more than like around like more than 7 or so films that aren't canon, and only one of them are. Naruto the Last is the only canon film, and it deals with the very end, essentially, and is a second epilogue to the story, and that's like the most recommended and probably the only recommended film. So it seems that people obviously want to know more. They like stuff that have characters that have consequences when
exactly
in the story is what
yeah.
people want. And it seems like now that producers and studios are taking note of that they want their films to, if they want to make more money, and essentially they are, they want the stories to be tied in with the actual story of the manga. So that's essentially what I think they'll be doing.
Yeah,
will be really interesting in the future.
Yeah, I agree. And Demon Slayer, no matter what, even if it wasn't canon, Demon Slayer was always going to get a big reception because it has a huge fan base of people who aren't even into anime. But the fact that it continued the story and it is a part of the canonical section of the manga is a big part, because one of the big parts about both of these movies is Rengoku in the Demon Slayer Mugen Train and Yuta in Jujutsu Kaisen 0. People who watch the anime don't know who Yuta is. Watch the anime exclusively, don't know who Yuta is.
Yeah.
So there is that sense of danger. Will Yuta make it? Where will Yuta end up? Will he make it out alive? Because we know Gojo Satoru is going to live. We know that Maki, Panda, and Maki is going to make it out alive. But one of the big points is, how is Yuta and Rika going to get out of this situation?
Yeah.
And the same with Demon Slayer. Rengoku,
New
spoiler
character,
alert, dies.
Yeah.
That is a consequence that lasts throughout the entirety of the series.
Yeah. It's also really it's just fun to know that what happens in these films are talked about later. And I was a person that was a huge fan of Yuta as a character, and will happily know, at least hope, that he'll be introduced in the series, and because I haven't read the manga, and I hope to see him in the future, and it's great to know that. And with Demon Slayer, it brought more people to the medium, and it was exciting to know that the story will kick off from here, and we'll get to see not characters, say a character like the number 3 demon, Akaza. We'll see him as a opposing foe, specifically to Tanjiro in the future, and we can't wait to see how that fight will end up in the future.
And the stakes in this are higher than before, because in a One Piece movie, we know Luffy isn't going to die. We know that the main Straw Hats aren't going to perish. And most of the times in these movies, the side characters are never mentioned again in the manga proper. So when they show up, it's kind of like, well, we don't really know. We don't really care about
Brody
these guys,
for My Hero.
Yeah, exactly.
World Hero
Mission. And that's one of the biggest culprits. Even though it's not the worst film in the world, My Hero Academia, the third movie, we have some grievances with, and it's mainly based on, because out of all those 3, it could have been the most canon. However, it treats it like it's one of those other movies that's just a spin-off.
It's not to say that if it's not canon, then it's not worth your time, because the first 2 films were amazing to watch, and it was such a ride to go with. It just seems like over the growing years that anime fans are starting to become less tolerable with filler in general in the shows to begin with. I would rather have anything else other than a filler, knowing that none of this matters. Why am I watching it? So, especially when it comes to films, it seems like they're taking note of that, and that we might get stuff like that in the future with canon films. Will the new One Piece film be a canon film?
We don't know. I hope. So let's talk about future films. Films that, are kind of rumored, films that are, that are certain going to happen. Let's talk about One Piece film Red.
Yeah.
Obviously, you haven't caught up to One Piece.
No, but I just know the movie.
But I can talk a little bit about it. What it's being advertised as right now is it's about Shanks, who is one of the, not the lead characters, but he's one of the most deciding characters of the series. He's a focal point he's a prominent character in the series. And it's being built up that way. Whether it will deliver on that, I'm not sure, because we see a whole bunch of pictures of Luffy and his crew and their designs, and we haven't really seen much of Shanks. Whether or not it will be about something like that, I hope that Shanks has a major part to play in the series, because it can be canon, because Oda works relentlessly on these movies. He works on the story as well, but we'll see. Something that you can touch on, Edgar, is the finale of Attack on Titan comes up tomorrow, and we're super excited. We haven't read the manga, and it's going to be a lot of fun to see, but there are a lot of rumors that the finale of Attack on Titan will be a movie. Yeah. Is that something you would like to see?
Yeah. I mean, I have my own gripes with the fact that we've been promised this to be the finale, and the fact that it hasn't ended yet, and then it won't end with this final episode. But seeing the ending of Attack on Titan on the big screen with a bunch of fans around is very promising, and it's something, an experience that I would like to experience. Whether the ending will end bad or not, I don't know, because I haven't read the manga, but it's something that is enticing. At least I'll definitely go obviously see it if it is a film, but it's still very rumored because we just don't know how it ending, and they haven't announced anything.
Could you imagine just sitting in a movie theater and then the first theme plays at the beginning and everybody goes, well, I think that would be great. Of course, if a Attack on Titan a movie did come out, it would definitely go up against Demon Slayer Mugen Train for that top spot.
It definitely passed Jujutsu Kaisen. Not to throw shade at Jujutsu Kaisen. It's a great film, and I honestly preferably like it more than the series entirely. I think that this show is just too big, especially with the ending and the biggest sell point.
It was one of the biggest when the fourth season first started. It was the biggest television show in America.
Yeah. And I think that people will definitely flock to the theaters knowing that the actual ending will end with the film that is to come.
Yeah, we completely agree. Well, what do you guys think? Would you like to see more canonical films, or would you still just like to see anime films be their own little adventures, like the old Dragon Ball, One Piece, or My Hero Academia films? Some of those are really good. I really enjoyed a lot of those. However, my favorite movie of this year has to be Jujutsu Kaisen 0. If you want to hear our full thoughts, check out our full review on our podcast. You can find the video for that in the link in the description. Or you can find us on Spotify or the podcast app. Before you go to watch that, make sure you like and subscribe. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you on the next Shonen Junk.